Hi, guys. Freedom Now, Freedom Now. I'm Latoya McBean Pompey, an immigration lawyer in New York, and we're going to end the week on a high note. Let's end this week. What a week. It's Friday, June 12th, and I have some breaking good news as well. You probably already know the news. But for those of you who do not know the news, we're going to discuss it in this one involving USCIS's response to the Dorcas decision, the issue that I've been discussing with you pretty much all week. Come on in, type in Freedom Now, and let me know where you're joining from. We're going to talk about the fact that USCIS has issued a statement today indicating that it's going to um, lift the hold, the adjudication hold. We're going to go into the exact language from the government and try to figure this out together. But this issue, friends, is a huge, huge issue. And the decision was actually appealed today. So I'm going to talk about the government's appeal and USCIS's response or statement today. So come on in, say hello, type in Freedom Now. If you'd like to meet with me or meet with one of my colleagues here at McBean Law, we're here for you. You could reach out to us at 914-898-9488 to discuss your case, your immigration case, and how we might be able to assist you. Our phone lines are open Monday, 7 days a week. I almost said 24 hours, but that would be inaccurate. 7 days a week, you can reach us Monday through Friday between the hours of 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. and Saturday and Sunday between the hours of 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Come on in, say hello, hello, hello. Thank you guys for always being here. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for following me over the years. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Someone said I left you a message. Please reach out to our office so that we might be able to assist you. Okay, contact us so that we might be able to resolve the issue or speak with you about what you'd like to discuss with us. Freedom Now. Brooklyn is in the house. New Jersey is in the house. Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. I know that people are joining from all across the United States tonight. Very exciting. Okay, guys, let's get into it. Where do I want to begin? Let's start with the fact that last night we met. All of us together. We had a live session, and I shared with you about the fact that the Rhode Island judge was very upset, it seems, in the Dorcas decision because the government had pushed back a little bit and asked for clarification on the judge's order from last Friday, which ordered the government to vacate, throw out, get rid of those awful discriminatory policies that held up everyone's case, well, not everyone, certain individuals' cases for 6 months or even longer, really. And the government pushed back and said, well, we need a final judgment in order to do an appeal, or we need you to clarify whether this should be an injunction or not. So the court did act yesterday and entered that final judgment, and then gave the government 24 hours to file a response to let the court know, well, what did you do in response to this court order? And then today, first thing this morning, the government filed an appeal. Okay, they filed an appeal of this decision. This appeal, this case has now gone to, I should say, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the First Circuit. Okay, and it's asking for that court to consider really overturning this decision. There's an appeal pending currently. After the government filed this notice of appeal, which is in front of the audience here on McBean Immigration TV on YouTube, the government, then USCIS, then issued a very terse statement on its website, very terse, which indicated that it doesn't really like this, but it will cooperate, so to speak. Court order on hold policies. That's what this is titled. And then it says, it goes into some background about the Dorcas case and the court order. Then says that the court entered its final judgment on June 11th, 2026. In this case, the plaintiffs are non-governmental organizations and labor unions who represent millions of individuals who filed immigration applications. Very interesting statement right there. And then they say here, USCIS strongly disagrees with the court's order, but will follow its terms pending possible further judicial review. This sentence, friends, is the usual language that USCIS include in their statements about litigation. When things do not go their way, they usually say, we strongly disagree with this, but we will follow this. Then they end by saying, this is a very brief statement, indicating that because with the entry of this final judgment, this order is effective immediately, and that pursuant to this court order, it will apply agency-wide. Then it says that this should not, this court order, it applies, of course, to those policies, those discriminatory policies, the adjudication hold policies, the significant negative factor policy, and it says that they should be treated as if they are not in effect, okay? And then ending it by saying USCIS will issue updated instructions pending further litigation development. So this is USCIS's official statement on the matter. And in the Dorcas case, they also filed, there's a declaration that was submitted by one of the USCIS managers who submitted a declaration. You guys could read it. We also received the same a similar declaration in our case yesterday in response to our motion to enforce our preliminary injunction. The same individual submitted an affidavit or a declaration in our case as well. But anyway, so this is huge, huge, huge. We expected this, as we've been discussing this week, that the appeal would come and then USCIS would respond and cooperate with or state that it will cooperate or comply with the court order. And now it's really a game of waiting and seeing what level of cooperation and compliance will actually take place. So this is on appeal. We're also, as I've been discussing with you, expecting that that the government will seek to stay this decision pending the appeal. And the First Circuit is highly unlikely to agree to stay the chief judge decision in this matter. And then the last final step, potentially, as we've been discussing, is Supreme Court, going up to the U.S. Supreme Court to ask for their help with this matter. So that's the latest, friends. Currently today, according to USCIS, those policies are not in effect, they say, and that it applies agency-wide, effective immediately. Okay, now what does this really mean for you in your case? Maybe because I'm on the side of the litigation and I know what we've been encountering and how they think and how they operate. From my standpoint, it really is all about enforcement at this time and compliance and pushing until we get the result that we're seeking. Okay, so the fight does not end. As a matter of fact, it continues. It's continuing. So that's how we will approach things. As in the days ahead, as we have these live sessions, certainly report out on what's going on with you, what you're seeing, what activities are taking place. At this time, it does appear that very minimal work is really being carried out, I think, as far as adjudications are concerned. For instance, a work permit might be the only thing that's approved, or an I-130, but then the real deal, the real benefit of the adjustment of status or U.S. citizenship, those real benefits are still, from what we've seen so far, withheld from individuals. Next week is a new week. We'll see what it brings. Please report out. I will certainly be reporting out as well in terms of outcomes and what we're seeing. So let's continue to band together and share information. I'll answer a few questions before I leave the office tonight. Thank you guys for being here. Freedom now, freedom now. Okay. Um, Someone says, hello, counselor. How would we know if the pause is really lifted if our case is not moving after this new update? What would stop them from slow walking this process? That's an excellent point. We've been talking about the fact that there might very well be delayed tactics. There's definitely ways of doing so to slow things down and frustrate the process. This is where potentially filing a mandamus makes sense for some people, okay? But the question is, how will you know if it's been lifted? Well, certainly if you get to that final adjudication, you get to that stage where they make a decision in your case. That's a good way of knowing. Now, getting a biometrics appointment or getting an interview notice, those are not as persuasive in my view. I want to know, are they saying yes or no to you, giving you an answer? So just watch what they do with the answer and watch what they do with processing times on as posted on their website, whether those processing times will continue to grow and show some strange, long drawn out numbers. Again, in my opinion, in an attempt to frustrate individuals and slow down significantly the legal immigration process. Freedom Now, watching from Georgia. Thank you so much for watching from Georgia. Let's go over here. Thank you for being here tonight on Instagram and on TikTok. Thank you. Is the N400 faster now? I don't know if I could say yes, that's the case, honestly. Normally, the naturalization process for most people do take a little bit less than a year. Of course, there was a significant stop. The process kind of stopped, I think, for individuals who, oops, looks like I lost a little light there, individuals who are part of the 39 country. Okay. Was this about the 75 countries or the 39 countries? This is about the 39 countries. That's what the Dorcas case is all about. The 39 countries, those seeking a green card or naturalization or asylum here in the United States and other benefits, of course. I do not have any update about SIG at this time. Thank you. Let's see, anything there? Let's put, how long does it take to approve citizenship application for a green card holder of 20 plus years in the United States without any legal issues and in great standing? Like I said, normally it would take a little bit under a year to be approved for naturalization. Florida's in the house, Indiana's in the house. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you. Let's go down just a little bit. Houston, Texas, Manhattan. Great, great. How soon do you think the government will move up this case to SCOTUS, to the Supreme Court? I suspect that it would happen very swiftly. Now, I did check the docket maybe about an hour ago in the Dorcas case, or 2 hours ago, I want to say, and I did not see the stay yet, the request for a stay of the court's order, but I am looking. How soon will things move? I think I would say very swiftly with the stay, and I don't see any reason why they would delay requesting the shadow docket action. but we'll just see. We'll see, right? Let's see. I did the whole affect DACA work permit also? I believe so. I know that in I believe we have a couple of DACA holders in maybe the first round of Boston. I'm not sure. But I would say that it did if you are from one of the 39 countries. But I also understand from listening to other attorneys, we don't do a lot of DACA cases at all. For some reason, that just has never been a strong part of our docket. But from what I understand from other attorneys and from hearing from you, there has been a significant slowdown in approving the renewals, although some people are now reporting that they're getting the renewed work permit. Freedom Now, thank you. PH48, thank you. Let's see. How should I proceed after the time of premium processing of my OPT has ended, and I did not receive an answer from USCIS? You can consider seeking a refund, of course, because the government is supposed to refund individuals who did not get their case processed within that posted time, the promised time based on premium processing. And in fact, in their response to our motion to enforce the preliminary injunction, they mentioned something about refunding our plaintiffs who had paid premium processing. But anyway, let's keep going. Let's keep going. Freedom Now. And this is I'm sorry, that I was referring to the Boston Round 1 lawsuit, the response that we received yesterday by the government. Freedom Now. Will immigrant visa be approved for those from the banned countries? The 75 country immigrant visa ban is unfortunately still in effect. So let's see. Thank you. Thank you. Nothing from the 75 country. For us, we're amending our complaint, and we did share with my colleague Lauren, who's taken the lead on this, our 52, we call it 52. She sent an email last night to our plaintiffs because there was some confusion going around based on a minute order that was posted yesterday on the docket. We had already started working on our amended complaint, which we're going to file very soon, and add in only the U.S. citizen or green card holder petitioners, no one else, no other new people aside from the family members. We're trying to strengthen that case, that tough case that is in D.C. in a court where it's the procedures are really complex and different. So that case is ongoing. But if you're a plaintiff in one of our 52 country lawsuit, the best way for you to handle any frustrations and such is just email us. Email us at lift@mcbeanlaw.com. Identify yourself, tell me who you are so I could deal with you one-on-one, so to speak, in a real way, and address whatever concern that you might have about the pace and progress of that 52 country case. All right. Thank you. How long does it take for the I-824 to be approved? That normally I would say would be about 7 to 8 months, something like that. I'm not certain whether the processing times on that 824 has slowed down. It's been quite a while since I looked that one up. Freedom Now. Have they paused the approvals of the I-131? So again, the USCIS today issued that statement indicating that effective immediately, agency-wide, it's like those paused or hold policies that placed all these applications on hold, they have no effect at this time. However, they've appealed the court's decision because they disagree with the court. Do you think there will be a pause for the 75 countries to be lifted anytime soon? I do think that the 75 countries issue will eventually be lifted because of the public charge policies that are coming, which will be, I think, heavier in some ways, I think, than this pause. But I don't have a timeline on it. That's why we did sue, actually, um, in addition to public pressure to form the lawsuit. How possible will it be that the court is going to deny this? I think, this is First Circuit, very liberal, jurisdiction. And I don't think they're gonna look at what was written um, in the judge's decision and disagree with that. I mean, it was really a really well written decision, and they cited. I was speaking to Jim Hacken just a little while ago, actually, and he said, they cited us 17 times our decision in that Dorcas case. Um, I hadn't even noticed the number of times that our case was mentioned there. But I think it's a very strong decision, strong decision. I doubt that they're going to approve a stay. I just don't see it happening. That would be really, really strange for the First Circuit or even any real circuit, aside from maybe the Fifth Circuit and some other ones that are way, way out there on the other side. What are the 39 countries? The 39 countries, I think you could go to our website and at mcbeanlaw.com/litigation, and you'll see a list of all of those 39 countries, or you could Google that issue as well. But they're mainly African countries, some Middle Eastern countries as well, and others. So, and some Latin American countries. Freedom now, freedom now. Thank you. Thank you. Let's see. Thank you for double tap the screen again on TikTok if you're joining. This is a short live session about the big news today involving immigration. How likely is the Supreme Court to give an immediate stay to the government based on all of the facts? This morning when we had a plaintiff, this afternoon we had a plaintiff call Zoom meeting, and during that meeting I discussed this issue. And one of the things that I said was the fact that really what the government has been resting on all this time with regard to its justification for these policies, it's based on a very, 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 very weak national security argument that they connect to the shooting during Thanksgiving week of the two National Guard members, which was a horrific tragedy that occurred at the hands of this crazy man from Afghanistan who had been working with the government undercover work. And this current administration granted him asylum last year. And he did this terrible random act of violence and hate. And then it just sparked they took that one incident and they just completely placed the blame on pretty much everyone, all foreign nationals from these 39 travel ban countries, and just took it to the next level. So that's their national security argument. I think that it's incredibly weak. Courts across the country that had issued preliminary injunction in this matter also thought that it's just not there. And so I imagine that's going to be the same argument that will be raised to the Supreme Court, although obviously I'm not, I don't have any experience really on that level, obviously. But so it's likely that that despite the fact that they have a very weak, I think, argument, the Supreme Court might side with them just because we've seen them do that before during shadow docket, attempts with immigration. They sided with the administration and said, you know what? The government must have some sort of rational reason why to put this policy in place. Their case is on appeal anyway. Let them just do what they want to do temporarily while their policies, while their case is on appeal. There's some kind of rational reason, some sort of reason for them to do this as the executive branch, and we kind of trust their judgment. So we'll allow them to do this pending the appeal and let the lower court really deal with it and go through all the issues on the merits. And then if it doesn't, and then if it comes back to us, it comes back to us on the merits. But for now, let them do what they want to do. Guys, that's really the thinking, so to speak. So although the national security argument I think is weak, the Supreme Court just might very well say that they have some sort of reason for why they have these pauses in place, these policies. And, you know, appeal is underway. Let the lower court do what the lower court should do. Why bypass them? And, I don't know, guys. We'll see how this plays out. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Any update on the I-130? No, no particular update aside from the fact that I-130s are still being approved. Okay, I-130s are still being approved, and people are being called in for interviews. Can you handle my child's case? Maybe. We'd love to have a consultation with you to see what kind of case it is, and we'd be happy to work with you. What if you've had an oath ceremony that was canceled because you're from one of those 39 countries? Well, based on what USCIS has said today, they are supposed to reschedule your oath ceremony. So report out, report out, report out, report out on whether they have done so or not. You again, mandamus is the way to go for some of you if your case is being unreasonably delayed and held up, even after this USCIS has said that they've lifted the hold. And of course, I have to be extremely careful how I frame things and what I say, guys. So bear with me. Why am I so careful? Because I'm in the middle of the litigation, okay? So just you just bear with me. I'm using certain language for a reason, okay? Let's keep going. Freedom now, freedom now, freedom now. Let's see. With Erica, beautiful picture. I love that. Very striking. She says, with this decision not affected 39 country issue, but also the 75 country, since Nigeria is included in both, so they may be free up on the 39 country partial ban side, but not the indefinite pause. So Erica, correct that for countries that are facing, unfortunately, both bans, both problems, like Haiti and Nigeria, they it's on the one hand, it's great news on the USCIS front if USCIS actually does the work on the applications. But then on the immigrant visa side of things, there's still there's a problem there. And then also, if you're from the 39 and out of the United States, there's the travel ban problem. So they really sat around that conference room table during the during the during that period right before Trump took office. They sat around those conference room tables and during the transition teams, and they really mapped this thing out, really mapped it out from the side of those here in the US through legal immigration to those that are overseas trying to come into the United States. They have a real insider immigration person who's super brilliant, doing things, coming up with these strategies. So that's what, but they're illegal, they're wrong, and we're pushing back. Let's see. Let's go, guys. Freedom now. If anyone does fraud after he got a 10-year green card, did he have possibility to get deported? If anyone do fraud after getting the green card. I'm not sure what you mean by do fraud. Are you talking about a criminal matter, or are you talking about like a civil immigration fraud type of matter and misrepresentation potentially? It's unclear, but you could definitely speak one-on-one with us about this question. It's coming from somewhere. Coming from somewhere. Um, oh, good question. What do you expect USCIS will plan next? Mm, Uh, I think adjustment of status. I'm obsessed with that one. guys. I think they're doing something with adjustment of status. I'm not sure what. I don't know. Don't know. But I think they're looking for another way around that memo that they issued a couple of weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks now, I don't know, ago. Adjustment of status, I think, is really an asylum. They're continuing on with the asylum, trying to squeeze people. CBS News reported, I think a week or two ago, that this is just being reported, not anything official that I've seen yet, from the government, just reporting that on the asylum side of things, if an individual has been in the United States for longer than a year, they've missed the asylum filing deadline, the 1 year deadline. And so if they file late, USCIS is potentially, if this goes through, would refer them over right into the immigration court system removal, deportation system, unless there's an exception. They qualify for an exception to the late filing rule, which is very difficult to qualify for, but it is not impossible. Okay, so let's go. I'm not sure how long it's taken to receive the EAD for VAWA petitioners nowadays. I know that it was taken several months, quite some time ago. I haven't heard any news. If you have a case like this, right, and or any case, and I say, well, I'm not certain on that, you could certainly share your processing time. If you have a similar case, say, oh, it took me 3 months or it took me 5 months, just to help the community out a bit. Freedom Now, guys. Are they going to decrease the VAWA processing times? Um, I don't see them doing anything good that would speed up a process to help an individual get lawful status in the United States. That would really run counter to everything that has been happening over the past year and a half now. So I don't expect that to happen. What I would love to see happen that would really be amazing and shocking would be for some sort of reform, right, on Capitol Hill, maybe around DACA, something really good, another amnesty perhaps. I'd love that kind of surprise. Really, really, really would love that kind of surprise. Let's go down just a little bit. What about those outside of the United States from the 39 countries? Will USCIS start issuing immigrant visas for already conducted interviews? So USCIS doesn't have anything to do with issuing visas. That would be the State Department, and they're not motivated along those lines right now, unfortunately. Freedom now, guys. Freedom now. Thank you also to the plaintiffs who are with us today at 1 o'clock. We have some emails going out to some of the other groups, plaintiff groups. We're setting up Zoom meetings with you as well. So my colleague Michaela will be sending emails to you, I think tomorrow. They're going to go out with a date for us to meet so that we could go over your case and to hear from you. So those emails are already drafted. I reviewed them before coming live, actually. So pay attention very closely, plaintiffs, to your emails. We're going to be setting up some Zoom meetings with you. Okay, let's go down a little bit. One of the plaintiffs did ask me today in the meeting to do a telegram. He might be watching right now, maybe, I don't know. I don't know anything about Telegram, to be honest with you. I've never used it. I don't understand it fully. And what I do think about sometimes, of course, is attorney-client privilege and how to protect information that we share and how would it work in a group chat setting versus another type of forum. And, those are the things that I think about when I think about how can we interact with you more and better and in a way that's not, that's easier for us to really manage time-wise to get you timely information. So we're thinking through some options right now. A Telegram is something I really don't know that much about. I do think I've heard that what this other attorney is on Telegram. We might need to research it just a little bit more, but thank you for your suggestion today. It's still in my mind, obviously. Freedom now, guys. Freedom now. Freedom now on this Friday night. Have they paused the approvals of travel document if filed with the I-485? It was connected to the pause. They had paused it, or held up the approval of quite a bit of documents. We did get we ended our meeting today with the plaintiffs in the Boston case on a real high note. This lady, she saved the best for last. It was so needed. And she said, "Oh, this week I got my waiver was approved." And we said, "Oh, that's great. That's great. That's great." But that's the lawsuit news. Now I want you to report back out to us in the community when I'm live, guys, about what you're seeing and if any movement is truly happening in your case in light of today's decision. Are they processing adjustment of status and removals of condition inside the U.S. while the appeal is happening? So during the appeal, okay, unless a stay has been issued, but during the appeal, USCIS, based on the court order in Dorcas, is supposed to, why'd you do that to me? Is supposed to move on your case. Oh, they like that. Maybe I should say that again. Based on this, they're supposed to do it, okay? So please, please, please report out on what's going on with your case, okay? Please report out. Can master hearing lead to deportation? Possibly if the judge does not grant your relief. If you're in removal, guys, and you have a hearing coming up in 2027, it's right around the corner. Start working with a lawyer immediately on your removal case. Strategize. If you have a hearing coming up next year, very important to start early, because sometimes the lawyer is able to file another application for you at USCIS. That would get things moving that would help you with your removal case. So definitely get things moving. Good evening. Have you seen that after the memo, there have been I-485 approvals? And what do you recommend if I have the interview in 2 weeks? So, yes, so this is about the adjustment of status memo. What I have seen, though, what you should know is that the questions that I discussed with you in a live session right after that memo came out, some of those questions are being asked by USCIS during the interview. So prepare yourself to answer those top 3 questions that I discussed with you. But I have a lengthier video with more questions that I had outlined for you guys, and the document is shown in the YouTube version of that video only. I think that video is called Fight Back, if I'm not mistaken. And it was right after that memo came out I did it on the Saturday. The memo came out on the Friday. I did my live session on that Saturday with all my notes. So go through that video and go through those questions, prepare yourself to answer those questions. But truly the top questions that attorneys and even my colleague attorneys who have been going on the interviews, what they're reporting is that the officers are honing in on the question about why did you stay? Why did you overstay? What stood in your way of going back to your home country after you came here? And what factors are hindering you from going overseas to finish the process there and do consular processing? So those are the questions that they have been asking individuals. So prepare yourself for that interview and know very clearly, recall what was going on in those early days that made you decide to stay here in the US and pursue adjustment of status. You should also be prepared in the event that they send you a request for evidence, asking for all these absurd things related to your character, because they're trying to they still are doing this, right? And pursuant to that memo, the balancing. Um, I I saw something today that I said to my colleague, "Ooh, this is all illegal." Every part of that statement that USCIS had sent, involving a notice of intent to deny, connecting it to the presidential proclamation, and why these classes of aliens are being treated in a certain way. The president has all this authority and power to treat certain classes of aliens a certain way, and therefore you need to tell us why you should get this benefit. I just thought, my God, this language, it's new, and I think it's so problematic. So just prepare yourself to answer for the RFE. If they do send you a request for RFE, work with an attorney on the RFE. Um, what are someone is asking about a strategy question. What are the possible options for the government? I don't know if I want to talk about that right at this time. They know what their options are. I'm on the other side. Let's see. I'm on the other side. But certainly, I discussed with you that their strategy is the appeal, the stay, and Supreme Court action. I think that's their playbook. And then, along with that playbook, is the delay, deny, frustrate, all of that. And those are the tactics put together that we've seen before. I'm not sure if there's anything new under the sun. All right. 212F lawsuits overseas. One of my colleagues did ask a question today in the attorney chat group about what are people seeing as far as outcomes with the 212F, any litigation going on, any success, anything happening around that issue involving the travel ban. I didn't see anyone respond to that. I was looking too for an answer. When I saw his question, I said, "Oh," I said, "That's a good one." Oh, right. What are they seeing? I don't think anyone responded. Okay. Freedom Now. Will McBean pause round three? No, we're not pausing round three. No, no, no. There's an appeal going on. There's an appeal going on, and anything can happen on appeal. And at this time, based on the behavior of the government, I don't see the level of cooperation that leads me to believe that there's going to be a significant change. So round three, and I see you, round three, we're still on. Still on. Still on. Let's go. Can I get your email address? You could reach out to us at info at McBeanlaw.com. Info at McBeanlaw.com. And this person says, I have been married for 13 years. I'm a green card holder, permanent resident. Now my husband wants a divorce. Is it safe? Please help. Been married for 13 years, green card holder. I think you'll be fine. I'm curious as to what the real concern is there. Is it connected to naturalization? If so, you could have a consultation, book a consultation, and we'll dive a little deeper into things. But I think you'll be fine. Which case? Melb is asking what is the website. We can keep an eye on this case. If you're talking about Dorcas, you could go to Court Listener. I had to bookmark that particular case, because it's a pain to find. the navigation. But yeah, court listener. Okay, guys, let's see. Miss McBean, are you representing people in Maryland, Baltimore? Yes, yes. Sometimes people from Maryland actually drive up to New York to meet with us one-on-one in person to get their case started, but you certainly don't have to do that. It's a long trip. But if you want to, we'd be happy to meet with you in person. Otherwise, we could do it by video or by telephone. I really prefer video, guys. It's good to see who we're working with. Um, let's go down a little bit. I missed the plaintiff meeting at 1 o'clock today. I did not get any email to join. I'm in round three. Round three, we had a meeting today with round one because of some significant things that have transpired that we needed to discuss with the plaintiffs and hear from them and go through their questions. So it was for round one, where Michaela on our team has prepared the emails, the Zoom meeting emails for round two and round three. So those emails are going to be going out tomorrow. They were supposed to go out today, but then this USCIS announcement came up and kind of slowed things down because we had some communications work that we needed to do. But yes, be on standby. You're going to get your invitation to the Zoom meeting, plaintiff meeting. Also, round three people, we thank you so much for your cooperation with declarations. We would really like to see that wrapped up as soon as possible. I think we gave you guys a deadline of Tuesday. I think you're doing great, but we'd really like to see you spend some time this weekend on that process, please. We really, 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 really want to wrap that part up. What is the current status of the I-751 process? Current status. It's the current status. I over the last couple of months, I have heard people complain more about how long it's taken. But you file it and you still immediately, however, receive the extension, 48-month extension, including individuals who were caught up in this awful 39-country pause. They were actually receiving the extension request as well. So I do know that people are complaining that it is taking a little longer than before. Someone says, I have a green card up to 2028. Great. Let's go down just a little bit. Have you heard about the AOS memo affecting a K-1 from the Philippines? No, I haven't heard about that issue. I haven't heard about that issue. If you're now joining, you're going to want to watch earlier when I shared important information about the USCIS discriminatory policies that were in place. USCIS issued a statement today saying they don't like the court's decision in Dorcas last Friday, lifting all of those, vacating, throwing them out. As if they have no effect. And USCIS said that, okay, we'll deal with it, so to speak, and if they're not in effect anymore nationwide at the agency-wide, effective immediately. That's what they said in their statement. And the government did appeal the decision, so the appeal is pending currently. As of maybe about an hour or two ago, there hasn't been a stay that I didn't see a stay issued. Let's see if I could see if anything has happened. Let's see. No, I haven't seen a stay come through, a request for a stay. All right. All right. What is the timeline do you expect for round two? So for round two, the cases are split up in certain jurisdictions, and we had emailed you guys to let you know which group you're in. And so with what happened today, we were also, just so you know, we were watching this entire week because there were things watching this entire week about with respect to what would happen with an appeal, okay, in the Dorcas case, which we were expecting to happen, and it did happen. Now that that has happened, what we were really looking to see is, well, how will the government attorneys respond to that with regard to the litigation? And so there's some strategic things that maneuvering that needed to take place after today. Okay. When we have our plan of call, I'll share more with you guys on what's going on and what we're thinking and working on and planning and timeline and such. But for now, I'd like to hold on to some of that information. I do know that the government attorneys were in the dark regarding the bigger strategy that the government was pursuing with the June 9th motion that said we need clarification, and we're not going to really do anything yet until you give us clarification or enter a final judgment, which was really pushing it. So they were in the dark. They didn't know, or they weren't really expecting that the 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 ones in charge took over and pushed that through. In any event, there's a push. I've heard about a push for us on the government side for to stay the actions that are in place and certain actions. We haven't gotten anything like that yet. We're prepared to handle that if that does come up. But some negotiations have started in some of the individual lawsuits that we do have pending, not the group lawsuits, individual lawsuits. So the government attorneys now are on mission to see if they could capitalize just a little bit on this, just for a little bit. But we're going to continue the fight and continue to push so that you guys can get your outcome. I was not a gangster. I don't know where someone says this is a comment I'm reading here on YouTube. I'm now getting caught up, and I don't know what's going on in the chat here to prompt someone to say that. Um, I think maybe we're all just a little tired, right? I think so. All right, friends, we're going to call it quits right now. We're going to call it quits. The chat is it's going in a different direction right now on McBean Immigration TV. I know you're exhausted, so am I. Let's get some rest. Let's take a break. I will be back before you guys on Monday at 1:00 p.m. Eastern, and we'll cover some additional immigration news and go through our Q&A of what's going on with your case and questions you have. Happy to answer those on Monday at 1:00 p.m. Eastern, live again before you. Thank you guys so much. We're reachable again at 914-898-9488 or info@mcbeanlaw.com. Thank you and have a wonderful, restful weekend. Bye-bye.